I am the disabled guy with the disabled life. That podcast is going to be about disabled issues and other things that interest me and others from the disabled community. I did this so that people understand what we go through in life and what we do, because a lot of what we do, it is interesting. I am also going to talk a little bit about ADA and things of that nature. It's something that's very important to me and something that I learned a lot about when I did an episode. I'm going to talk more about it. Okay. This podcast, it's going to come out at 10 p.m. Saturday and Wednesday. So, and so that's when that's when I think most people listen. Most people listen at night or have the episodes there for during for the daytime. So, stop. Let me talk about a topic that I'm that's very close to my heart. Okay, let me start by explaining how this topic came about. This is a piece of advice for both parents and young adults or caregivers that are that have teenagers or adults that they take care of or they live with. Okay, what I'm going to talk about is I have a sister. She's younger than I am. So, I was I was 18, 19, 20, and she was in high school. 21. Yeah, 21, yes. I know that for a specific reason, and now I had to think back, and that's the year. So, I would hang out with her, we'd go out, she didn't drive, so we'd go walk, and we'd go to McDonald's, and we'd go hang out. And all of a sudden, we'd go hang out, and it's fine. And then, we do this for a while. I always would let her tell me. I never asked her to go hang out with her. I never did, because if I would do that, I felt that I was pressuring her into that. And I never wanted to do that. I always wanted it to come from her. It to come from her. So, we're doing this. I go hang out with her friends and whatever. And I, took her out of school a couple times because there were some things my mom and dad went on a quick trip one day because they had to go do something where my mom's from. So we stayed there. We stayed home with my grandma and my uncle. And she was home late. Went out. Didn't go late. She went late to school. Was late to school one day. So she said, "Can you take me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go with you." So I got dressed and I went. And to tell them that it was late. So these things that an adult brother can do, and I did them for her. So we went out once in a while. Yeah, McDonald's, things of that nature. Nothing big. And I hung out with her friends. I took them out with my friends a couple of times, and everything was cool. And then all of a sudden, this is something I did not need to do. Here comes the advice. My mom, bless her heart, told me that at one point that was going to stop, and I knew that because at 16, 17 years old, you start getting your boyfriends or girlfriend, whatever the case may be. So as I knew that. So I figured, okay, this is gonna happen, and I'm not against that. I knew, but my thing is, I never said anything to her, in that case, because I felt that the best way to handle that was not to say a word, because it can come off as an egotistical thing. And I said, no, it's just best not to talk about it. The piece of advice here is, if you're a teenager, in my opinion, don't say anything. And and for the adults or caregivers, if the teenagers doesn't say anything about what's going on, don't take it that they're not listening to you. Take it like, okay, they heard me, but it may not be something advice they need, and they don't want to be disrespectful or egotistical, because you can come off as that, and you don't want to. As a teenager, you don't want to do, teenager or adult, you don't want to disrespect your parents. It's not right. Because when you live at home, you still should respect them and the things they say. Even though sometimes you don't need the advice, listen to it. And you can make a decision, do I need to hear this? Do I need to use this? Yes, you need to hear it. But do you need to listen to it? You don't know. I don't know. You are the one that has to make that decision. You are the one that has to decide, do I need to listen to this? Do I need to listen to this advice? Do I need to take this advice to heart? It's something that, you have to, as a person, you have to do it yourself. And that's the way it works. You have to do it. You have to think about it. And you have to do it the way you think. The way you think you should. But, that's what I'm saying. You just have to analyze the situation and think about it. And figure it out for yourself. You may not have to tell anybody about this decision. You just do it in your own way. You do it, and then you come up here, and you come up here and you do it, and you execute the plan the way you think so. Now let me go back and talk a little bit now. My sister and I, she lives far away from me. But, I miss her. And that's something that I used to love. I'm going to see if I can get it back. I used to love it when she used to come home. Or when she lived in town. One day when she lived in town, I'm talking about this story. She told me, no, don't eat lunch. I'm like, okay, why is she telling me not to eat lunch? Because she knew that I only eat 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch. And I'm like, why is she telling me this? So she says, okay, I'm going to take you out to somewhere. So she takes me out to a sushi restaurant. I've never had sushi before. When I ate sushi, and I actually enjoyed this thing. And so that was one of the days, I called them, I hung out with my sister, so that was I was happy to hang out with her, and we sat there for a little bit, and we talked and whatever. As 2 adults, we had a conversation, and we just. Then another year for my birthday, she took me out to a Brazilian restaurant. That Brazilian restaurant is a little bit different. It is different because what it did is there was no menu. You would get a chip. I call it a chip. You would get a chip on the table. The chip was red or green. Hold on. The chip was red or green. So, hold on. Sorry about that. My mic just fell. As I was saying, the chip was red or green. You'd come up and you would, if you flip it green, it'll bring you food on spigots. And, we hung out there for a little bit. It was nice because the reason I like these trips is the reason I like hanging out with her is we have time to talk. And, that's the thing. That's what I'm going to talk about, the relationships that we have and how they change and how they evolve. Right now, she has 2 of my nieces, and that's something that I understand. But I miss those. They call them sister brother hangouts. Some people call them sister brother dates. I'm not comfortable with that. I don't do that. So it's. So I'm just telling it's so just what I'm telling you is it's very important to me to keep these relationships up and deal with these things. But let's go back to that advice. Because that advice is because when a person becomes a teenager and they start to hang out with their friends and stuff, they don't want their brother tagging along. I understand that, and that's how I dealt with it. Thank you for listening to my episodes. My episodes will come out Monday and Wednesday. You can listen to me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and many others, including iHeartRadio. The reason I've done this podcast is to give people a voice, because I think that the disabled community is missing a voice, but I am in a unique position of being able to afford minimal equipment to do this. I'm going to give you my email address. My email, if you want to contact me, is ke4key@gmail.com. And I will also, you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, at The Disabled Guy, and a few other places where I put my episodes out on Facebook too. With that, thank you for listening.